What up, young buck? I'm Leon, the Paperback Maniac, coming at you tonight with Mailbox Horrors Part 9. Now, this is the installment in which I showcase the many horror titles that keep creeping up in my mailbox. So without further ado, let's get to it. First few books we're going to be looking at are from Zebra's early 80s Fruit line. Now, Zebra kind of went through this phase where they just had a lot of books with fruit covers, and they are quite a thing to behold. I am particularly excited about the first couple I'm going to be showing you. So we are going to start by looking at this one, Nightbait. This is one that has been on my wish list for quite a while. This was written by Philip Straker, aka Edward Lee, a very fun author, and this was published by Zebra in 1982. Edward Lee published two books with Zebra in the early 80s, actually both in 82, both under the pen name Philip Straker, which he used because he was apparently embarrassed. He didn't want his family members to know the shit he was writing. And he has since repudiated both of these books, saying that they're garbage and, it doesn't want people to read them. I'm going to, see about that for myself. So I'm very excited to see this, to read these books. They're both kind of, gritty early 80s books dealing with, prostitutes and some psychotic who preys on prostitutes. Sounds like a good time to me. So Nightbait is the first one. And then the other one that he published in this time frame is Nightlust. This also came out from Zebra in 82. It has another very evocative cover. And yes, so Philip Straker, by the way, ended up becoming one of Lee's recurring protagonists. I know he showed up in a book, Creakers, as, this Philip Straker is kind of like this cop. In that book, he's like a cop who goes back to his hometown and deals with some horrific shit. But I have always been curious about these early Edward Lee books. I'm a big fan of Edward Lee's. I think he's just a really fun writer. He's actually a good writer too. He's talented in the prose department, and he never disappoints. He never bores you. His books are filled with just illicit sex and gore and violence, all the good stuff. And I'm particularly a fan of early Edward Lee, and it doesn't get much earlier than these two. So definitely really stoked to have those now. Next book we're going to be taking a look at is Slice of Life by James Kisner. This book was published by Zebra in 1982 as well. I think 82 is going to be making quite a few appearances this year. And we've got another cool, evocative fruit cover. I have quite a few James Kisner books. This is his first. For me, it's always interesting to kind of see where a writer started out. And this is another one of those kind of gritty, early 80s books. So I'm, definitely happy to have this one. Next up in the Zebra fruit line here, we've got Sweet Revenge by Dick Beard. I'm willing to bet that's not a pseudonym because, you could do a lot better than that, right? This one came out from Zebra in 1981. And another cool cover. And the last one of this Zebra series that we're going to be looking at today, probably my favorite title, is Deadly Earnest. And this one apparently was published it was written by Daniel Lynch, and it came out in 1986, which surprises me because I thought these covers, this fruit series, I thought it was only kind of like the early 80s, like 81 through 82, but apparently this one came out a little later. But all of these books just probably, judging by the fact, the titles, the covers, and the fact that Zebra put them out, I'm sure that they are just, fine schlock entertainment. Early 80s schlock entertainment. So those should be a lot of fun. All right, next up, I'm really intrigued about this book. This is Penance by Rick Reed. This book, I was not familiar with it, and I, thought I knew quite a bit of the Del Abyss books. This was published by Del Abyss in 1993. This was actually recommended to me by my Facebook friend Chris, whose taste I definitely value, and I trust his opinions. And he said that this book was, a really strong book, and it sounds amazing. It sounds pretty gnarly, pretty heavy, but the writing seems solid, and it looks to be pretty effective. So I'm looking forward to reading this. This may be possibly my next Del Abyss book. We'll see. All right, next we've got a classic cover here. I'm sure many of you have seen. This is The Next by Bob Randall, and this book was put out by Warner Books in 1981, and that is a pretty darn cool cover, if I may say so. Just look at that. Pretty neat. All right, I'm also excited about this next one. Next up, we've got Blood Rubies by Axel Young, which was the pseudonym of Michael McDowell and Dennis Schwetz. This was put out by Avon in 1982 as well. Michael McDowell, of course, the beloved writer of books such as the Blackwater series, which I have shown on this channel before. The Elementals, Cold Moon Over Babylon, one that I'm particularly interested in. Great writer, of course. Also, he wrote the original screenplay for Beetlejuice, and this looks like a pretty interesting book, that he wrote with that other author who I'm not familiar with, but a cool cover as well. All right, next up, one that doesn't have a really cool cover. This is Mira by Daoma Winston. And this one was put out by Tor Suspense, as it says on the spine. And it came out in 1982 as well. Year of My Birth is getting repped a lot tonight. All right. I'm a big fan of this title and this cover. This next one, we've got Let's Pretend You're Dead by Vincent Courtney. Vincent Courtney wrote the craptacular Vampire Beat, a book which I have reviewed on this channel. One that is very, very dumb, yet strangely charming and, entertaining in its own way. This book came out in 1991. It was published by Pinnacle. And I really dig that cover. I love that definitely kind of a throwback to like the pulp covers of yesteryear. And I don't know. This guy is like such a trashy writer based on what I've read, and I want to read everything he's published, basically. So, all right. Next up, finally, I'm finishing up this trilogy, which the first time I bought one of these books, I didn't realize it was a trilogy. We've got the Unborn here, which is the third book in the Blood of Nostradamus trilogy, written by Andrew Lawrence. I remember I had picked up, I think, the second book in a bookshop, ignorantly, not aware that it was part of a trilogy, even though it clearly says it right up there. I'm just like clueless. And then Cameron Chaney was gracious enough to send me a copy of the first book in the series, and now I finally got the third one, so I can complete the trilogy. This edition was put out by Diamond. All three of the books I have were the Diamond editions from 1991, though it was originally published by Star in 1980. So it looks like it's a UK. It was originally a UK book. So Andrew Lawrence, I believe, is a British author. These seem really interesting though, and they seem like a lot of fun. I do like these new editions. They kind of have this sleek sort of 90s packaging. Great artwork. All right, next up, we've got a book called The Keepsake by Paul Husson. And this one was put out by Warner Books in 1981. I don't know if you can see, it's got, black with kind of not really, it is a little bit bas relief, but pretty interesting kind of cover. All right, 2 more here. Next, we have Blood Feud by Sam Siciliano. I have another Sam Siciliano book, which I got a few months back. This one appears to have really, really good writing. I just kind of I started reading it a little bit, and the prose is really good. Hopefully, it's not one of those books though that's all style and no substance. This one was put out by Pinnacle, which makes me think not, because usually Pinnacle, they didn't put out dull books, and it came out in 1993. Vampire horror, not my favorite subgenre, but if it's done well, I can get behind it. Pretty cool cover as well. And finally, I did save a good one for last this time. I love this title and I love this cover, even though this cover is kind of messed up. But we've got The Naughty Girls by Arthur Wise. This book was put out by Playboy Paperbacks in 1982, another 82 version. And no, it's not snowing in this cover. That is just a severely distressed paper on the cover. It's a little messed up, but whatever. I can deal with that. What a cool cover though, right? And a cool title. This just this seems like a lot of fun. So that's one that I definitely do look forward to checking out, as I say. So yeah, that's it, guys. That is my little mailbox update. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Also hope everyone had a good Halloween. I know I did. I just it was low-key, midweek Halloween. The weekend before Halloween, I had gone with a friend to the Haunted Hayride up in LA, which is a pretty fun attraction up in the old Griffith Park Zoo. They kind of set it all up. You go on this hayride with a bunch of shit popping out at you. They have a couple of cool mazes. That was cool. Watched a few movies, some old, favorite movies, some newer movies. Been watching Channel Zero, this show. I know I recently talked shit about horror television series in my last book review, but this show, Channel Zero, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't checked it out, it is freaking awesome. It's this anthology show. I'm watching season 4. Every season is like its own story. This one's called The Dream Door. A lot of fun. Brutal and creepy as fuck. I would highly recommend you guys, if you like this kind of stuff, check that show out. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and stay tuned for more book reviews and more stuff like this in the future. I will see you later. Peace out.